have a different way to address your edges on your cards. I go on and on and on about not forgetting your edges. You see me doing the pierced edge all the time, but how about something different? Every once in a while it's nice to have a little bit of a change. So I'll show you how this was created. And the dies we'll be using for today's card are the Alexandra, which is part of our frames and tags. And then I've done the back matting with the Noble double pierced rectangles, the original and then the set B. So there's a very fine difference between the mat and layers there, 1/8 of an inch. And I thought I'd show you just a couple of the other little products that I've used on the card. We have our black pearl swirls, the finishing touch satin ribbon. This is the Sideshow Rose. It's a very pale pink. It matches our blush card beautifully. And for the center of my bow, I've got the finishing touch black crystal sparkler. Okay, so let's do a little bit of cutting first. With a piece of black card, I'm going to bring my Alexandra die in, and this is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces here. I'm going to use the outer cutting edge and then the very first decorative piece. We will pop that onto our cutting plate, tape it into place as I always do. Let's do the outside and now center that decorative piece in there. That looks good. And let me just do one more on the top to make sure it stays. And we'll run that through the grand caliper. Okay, let's check that. That looks like it cuts. Now this is definitely one of those dies I would recommend doing a little bit of embossing. You'll get some beautiful detail from it. There we go. So let's see what we have now. Do all of our unveiling here. Tape. That one, and this last little corner here. Whoops, get a hold of that. There we go. Okay. And pop that back onto my magnetic sheet. So now you can see I've got the outside cut, pretty little decorative edge, and there's a nice little pierce feature on this as well. So what I want to do is go forward from there with the blush card, and I'm going to use the same die set but the smaller pieces in there. So we'll bring back our cutting plate, pop that down, and so I want to use the next two. Let me get a hold of everything here. There we go. So I've got another decorative feature, insert there with a cutting edge. Pop that into place. Just line it up so it's equidistant on both ends. About like that. And that looks good. Give this a quick cut. Okay, that looks like it's cut nicely. I'm going to also emboss that, but you want to get all your little bits off of there so they don't emboss into the card. Trade that out. Okay. Undo our tape. And knock out a couple little bits here. There we go. So there's the inner piece. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of spray glue to that back of this one. Line it up into the middle of this. That looks like it's nice and straight. Hold that, make sure it's set on there nicely. And then we're going to go back in and cut an aperture out of both of them. So let me get to the die we need there, which is this little guy. And we're going to put this into place. Line that, oops, fingers are sticky. Line that up right in the center of both of those. And let's just tidy as we go a little bit. We'll just use our cut mat for that one. Pop that in. So I have a nice aperture cut out of the center of both of those pieces now. Okay. There we go. So that will create the basis for our focal element. Now the other thing I've done is I've used a white gel pen around the edge here. So let me just bring over one I've done earlier. And I've just gone all the way around and dotted it. And I'm going to show you when I do this piece here. So we'll move forward to there. I've gone ahead and stamped my sentiment and the little inner piece, which is that very center of that same exact die set, using the cutting edge and the decorative piece. So I'm going to use a little bit of spray glue. Get it nice and tacky. And just center that right around that, nice and straight. There we go. Give a second to hold that. And then we're going to bring that same die back and reseat it over the edge of that. Just wiggle it a little bit till you're sure it's in place. Bring your tape back. Make sure you've got no little bits left on your cutting plate. And we'll cut that one. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Signo Uniball gel pen. I really, really like this personally. It's my favorite. So we will take this off and tape. And I've got a nice little piece here that I'm just going to go back over, and I'll tell you what I also like to do is use a little bit of an adhesive remover, which will take off some of the stickiness from the tape. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and I can get it started, make sure it's flowing nicely on a piece of scrap paper, and then I'm just going to go around the edge, dotting it. Just as easy as can be. Now, if you get your dots a little misshapen, what's really nice is because it's on black card, you can just go back over with a black marker and straighten them out a little bit so they're more rounded. Turn that. I think having a white gel pen in your crafty stash is really handy to add little accents and things. And this one works really nicely. You can see I'm not being too worried about where they are. You can just pick up that whole dot pattern. Your eye won't notice if some are too close to others or too far apart. Okay, so let's bring this back over. Now I've done the same thing around the double pierced nobles here, adding some white dots around the black. So it just gives that overall pattern feel to it. I've added a little edge here, and here's where I've used some of the little swirly rhinestone pearls on the edge in the black, and I've just dotted down the edge of that border. So I've got some mounting foam to raise it, and pop that into place right in the middle here. That looks nice. I also have a bow that I've tied out of the satin ribbon, so I'll go ahead and add that at the bottom with a glue dot. Just put that into place at the bottom of those swirls. Really like that. And here's the one I've done earlier with a little bit of dotting around the edge. I've raised it up for dimension so that we can recess the center down into it. And a little bit of mounting foam around the very center helps hold that center up so it won't sag. Pop that into place on the edge here. Out like that. And here's the sentiment that I went around an edge. You can also, if you're off just a little bit, you can take a black marker around the edge and tidy that up if you like. I'm going to just put some glue on the back of this. There we go. pop that right through that original aperture. Just push it straight down into place. So now we're all finished. You've got a nice black, blush, and white card and that whole dot pattern going all over. So it's a nice alternative to the usual piercing that I do, but I think this is really stunning, very eye-catching. So think about maybe changing up your edges when you do your projects.